Hi everyone. This is a song and a book. I am Song,
And I'm Burke.
and we are here with our third episode, that is just to give a quick intro. We decided to start a podcast because we are friends and we are already completing each other's sentences when we're talking about things. So we decided, why not talk about all of it on a podcast? The nuances and things that people forget talking about, we decided to take them up, and here we are in our third episode.
And yes, we have an awesome episode planned for you. And this time we've chosen a sensitive topic because it's high time we start using our podcast for something that truly matters. And we have a lovely person joining us today so that we can take this forward. And our topic for today is to discuss what it is like to live with a disability in a country like India and how the ecosystem supports us and what being in this experience looks like and how it is socially, educationally, in terms of your work life, and in terms of your intimate family relations, and so on and so forth. And not taking any further time from the star of the day, let me just quickly introduce Nihal Raheja to everybody. So Nihal and we've been friends for a while. Nihal and I are actually travel buddies, and Nihal went to Symbiosis School of Liberal Arts. He asked me to give the full name and not the short form, which is SSLA, so that we can all talk about our privilege also. and, and Nihal right now is the founder and owner of Ignite Visibility, which is a PR and content managing company. And he is fully booked with a lot of clients. It's difficult to get him on call. And we are so happy that he took out so much time to be on our podcast today. And we are very happy to have you, Nihal. How is the
I'm
Josh?
very, very high. Thank you so much for that intro. And yeah, I mean, time for friends is something that you have to remove. You don't have a choice. And but yeah, I would just like to point out one thing. You started by saying it's a sensitive topic. Through this course of this podcast, I think our objective is to make it more mainstream and not treat it as a sensitive topic. So yeah, I think that's the vision of this podcast.
Yeah, that's
Definitely.
actually, yeah, thank you for actually pointing that out. And let's just have our rhythm set from the get go. So let me just ask you this, and I've written this question down. So because we wanted everything to go perfectly. So, so is there anything you'd prefer we avoid or be mindful of while talking about being a person with a disability in India or in general?
No, not really. Let's be as candid, and I will try to be as candid as possible.
All right, noted.
So let's start from the beginning and understand your experiences. So how did your parents react to you? So expected parents have a template for their child and it usually does not include a child with special abilities or special
Special needs.
needs. So how is
Right.
that growing up?
Um, I would say fairly supportive parents that I have received. So before I go into more of the story, I think it would be best that I sort of briefly tell about what I actually am facing. So I'm basically facing something which is called Stargardt disease, which affects the central vision of your eyesight. So whenever I look at someone or I'm looking at something, I use my right eye to see, and my left eye is the weaker eye. So it's basically a loss of your central vision, and it's more, you use your peripheral vision. So that's something that I face. So this is something, while it is a genetic disorder,
Yeah.
we sort of we got to know about it when I was 6 years old. Because that's when sort of you started reading and writing in your UKG and LKG, and the teachers were sort of worried that I'm not able to read, or my handwriting is spoiling, or I'm not not going in one line, I'm missing up the lines. That's when my teachers brought it to notice to my parents, and then we went to Bangalore to sort of get a check on what's actually happening. And that's when the doctors told us that this is something that he's going through. And he sort of has 30% vision. It may not deteriorate over time. It will be as stable as it is right now. But yeah, this is something of which he will have through his life.
Okay. And like, how is it for a family to take that, to digest that?
As I said, every parent does find it challenging. No one, as the question said, no one is prepared for someone who has challenges. But my parents, in particular, my mother, took it very gracefully, and uh, with so much power that it instilled me, and to bring me what I am today. If my parents didn't show that power when I was much younger, maybe I wouldn't be sitting and doing this sort of a podcast today. It has been They have been very supportive, very understanding to what I need, and yeah, just fighting along with it. So just to start off, I was born in Coimbatore, and the schooling systems there were very weak at that
Yeah.
time. This is 2005, 2006, and Coimbatore at that time being a fairly conservative city, they didn't sort of accept me with my limitations. In second standard itself, they gave up on me, saying that we do not have the bandwidth to take this sort of a child ahead, and that was with most of the schools in Coimbatore. Many schools did say that put him to a special school where kids are a blind school basically. But my parents did not want to make me go through that. They wanted a very normal life for me, so they decided to shift to Pune. So mom and I came to Pune, and here also we did face a couple of rejections with a couple of schools, but it was we finally found one school which promised me that they would take me right from my third standard till the 12th standard. So that was something which was very promising to see here in Pune.
Wow. That's the thing, this you just need the supportive ecosystem. And with a
Correct.
lot of people, what happens is that when they are faced with any sensory disability, then they are usually put in special schools,
Right.
and it's very difficult to actually get the quote unquote mainstream education that most of us grow up with. And I'm glad
Correct.
that I mean, of course there were a lot of obstacles in your way, but that happened for you.
So when you're growing up in schools, normal schools, life is different, and how you are interacting with people, it becomes different, because then you realize that you have to go out in the world and behave in a certain way, and you understand
Correct.
how will people react to you. So it's very important to
Correct.
understand how the world is working, and that might not happen in the differently able schools. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
usually the aim for such schools is also mainstreaming, that everybody who
Yeah.
graduates from there is actually somebody who can understand what it is like to use the public transport, what it is like to work in a corporate space or whatever freelancing space that they choose,
Mhm.
and that
Correct.
they have as quote unquote again normal experience as they can.
Right.
And I feel that there's an issue with that premise to begin with,
Exactly.
because the world is not built for people who have certain problems, not problems, certain, let's say, you mentioned the word limitations, but I would say potentials that people refuse to acknowledge. Then you have to make your way across, and you have to
Correct.
in a way make it in such a manner that people don't get uncomfortable and they don't have to have all these conversations around this topic. But that's not how it is. It's your life, it's your lived experience, and you
Definitely.
have to own it. All right. So that was actually a good conversation starter, I would say. And we just spoke about school and the infrastructure and the ecosystem. So I wanted to understand, like, how was schooling for you?
So schooling for me was a mixed bag. I wouldn't lie. It was not entirely smooth, and it was filled with my own set of difficulties. But I must say that the teachers, even my the students that I studied with, quote unquote, my friends and my batchmates, were appreciated my space and did understand what I need. I do not expect anybody to fully understand what I'm going through, because they aren't going through, and it's not something that it would be unfair on my regard to expect someone else to fully understand what I'm going through. But having said that, I did get a lot of acceptance by my school, my teachers, by my friends. Even though I wasn't discriminated per se, people didn't treat me normally. There were times where people would treat me differently in terms of, like, if I'm standing with a group of four people, they would have conversations in Hindi. But when it came to me, even though I started the conversation in Hindi, they spoke to me or replied to me back in English, because English is sort of considered a very formal
Yeah.
language. So there was these sort of signs where people thought I cannot talk to Nihal on these certain topics. I need to maintain a certain decorum or a certain way of talking with him. So in that regards, there was a little differentiation where when people treated me. Coming to more on how I actually studied, my sort of my mother used to come every Friday or every Thursday to school and take down notes from other students so that she could come home and teach me. And I was also, even in my exams, even though a written component was mandatory, many of my exams were taken verbally. I most of my written exams were converted into oral exams, where I was taken separately by my faculty and asked questions verbally. So there were a lot of attempts to put me in an as normal as position as possible. Uh, so yeah,
Wow.
I would say the schooling system and the parents were very supportive
Yeah.
in the whole ecosystem, and
correct.
that's incredible. That's very wholesome to see and understand, right?
I'm actually glad that that was your experience because let me just come out of the closet right now. Even I am somebody who deals with the invisible disability every day, and school was not like that for me. Like I lost 30% of my hearing when I was in the in the second grade, and that was because of an accident. And school was definitely not like that for me. My class teacher took it upon herself to announce it to the entire class that I was suffering from something, which at that time became a suffering for me. Before that, it wasn't. Before the announcement, it was not. And I did get isolated because people no longer knew how to deal with me. And plus, because of the hearing thing, I had to sit on the first bench.
Hmm.
And in class, we used to rotate.
Yeah.
कि पहले bench पे somebody sitting and then they go to the last
Correct.
bench. I was not
Correct.
allowed to rotate because I had to hear. And then
Hmm.
people made it a point to use weird stuff around that. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, they
About
made
it.
jokes about it, and they were like, "Oh, you're a teacher's pet, always under her booth and everything." And I'm like, "No, I can't hear her. If she's facing the board and talking, I can't hear her. That's why I'm sitting here."
Exactly.
And after that, like I've also been a transfer kid. So after this happened in one city, in all the other cities, I didn't tell anybody that here's what I'm facing. So I didn't play Chinese whispers because that was one very good way to understand that I can't hear. I and in all these preteen girls, they're a lot into whispering. Ki, oh my god, I have a
Yeah, oh
crush
my
on
God,
this
yeah.
guy. This. I wouldn't do that. I would hang out with the boys simply because I couldn't whisper. So I had to make all these silent adjustments to
Correct.
deal with everything because I didn't want people to just see that one part of me.
And I
Correct.
feel like this comes from the fact that kids are not taught how to deal with disability. They're not taught how to be empathetic
Yeah.
and help a person with some things, make them feel normal. And in a lot of situations, even nowadays, it's like, what do I do in certain situations when I'm seeing a person or when I'm seeing a friend? And I see a lot of people around me, they just choose to not
Talk
get
about
close
it.
to that person who
Yeah.
is facing
Yeah.
some kind of problems, or I would say who is differently able. So
Correct.
I feel like systems, schools, they need to be more inclusive, and we all of us need to have these kind of students in classes, like at
Yeah.
least 2 or 3 people, so that we understand the world from their perspectives and
Yeah.
make the world a better place to live.
Even though I feel many people want to talk about it, they just do not know how to approach the topic.
Yeah, the vocabulary is
Exactly.
missing.
Yeah, and maybe it's the feeling that अरे ये बंदे को अजीब लगेगा, he might get upset about it, or I may cause discomfort. Maybe it's coming from that. So it's very important, right, from your school days to really teach quote unquote normal people how to deal with everything
Yeah.
in general. Yeah.
And this brings me to the question that how do you think pop culture actually portrays differently abled or special needs of people in songs and books and in movies and literature? Because I really wanted to understand a lot of things we in general learn from pop culture because they become a
Correct.
trend. That is what everyone is talking about, and we are so much influenced by it. So what's your take on that?
So it's very difficult to say like a black and white answer. It would be very easy to say that pop culture or mainstream media does not represent disabled people correctly, because it comes down to a lot of things. Even if someone wants to represent a disability correctly, maybe they don't have the accessibility to it.
Yeah.
If someone on a wheelchair wants to be featured in a podcast or in a film, maybe the building where the shoot is happening is not accessible. There are no ramps or there are no technologies to sort of bring that person in front of camera. So we can't just sort of say that the mainstream media is not representing a disabled person properly. There are a lot of factors going into in the back end of it. But just I would like to bring up an example of one film, Tare Zameen Par and Sitare Zameen Par, which is a spiritual sort of sequel to Tare Zameen Par.
Yeah.
Why Tare Zameen Par worked even though Darshil Safari is not quote unquote disabled, because it focused on Darshit Safari and his individual identity,
Yeah.
what he was representing, dyslexia that he was representing.
Yeah.
So it really worked at that time, and it still is remembered because it was focused on his lens, on the disabled person's or a person with disabilities lens.
Right.
Whereas why a film like Sitare Zameen Par did not really catch on or hold on to people is because the focus of it was on the coach and him dealing with a group of disabled people.
Yeah, and
Very
another
good
movie,
point.
another movie that I can think of right now is My Name is Khan.
Mhm.
Like over there, the character of Shah Rukh Khan, he is somebody who at that time it was called Asperger's syndrome. Now it's called autistic spectrum disorder. So he's playing somebody who comes from the spectrum, and
Correct.
he's not neurotypical. He's neurodivergent, and he is somebody who is integrated into mainstream society by Mandira. And Mandira as a person is also somebody who is a divorcee, single mom, and an immigrant in a foreign country. Like she's an immigrant to US. So when we talk about people who are also integrating, वो already marginalized है. They're already somebody who is existing in the margins of
Correct.
society.
Right.
So
Correct.
that shows a very narrow perspective on what inclusion looks like. Like
Correct.
as somebody who's already been through something that really drains the life energy out of you, that's when you have the empathy. That's when you have the openness to include somebody who is not the same as others.
Definitely.
Correct. Just I would like to give a couple of more films as an example. Have you guys seen Margarita with a Straw?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't.
Yeah,
And
and a film
Tenzing
like
Lala.
Pa also. A film like Pa also with Abhishek
Iqbal,
Bachchan
yeah,
and Amitabh
yeah.
Bachchan.
Right.
Iqbal
Huh.
and even Black to an extent. So all
Yeah,
these
Rani
films
Mukherjee.
that
Mukherjee's.
Amazing
It's on
movie.
Helen Keller, by the way, the
Yes.
book.
correct. So all these films bring out stories about disability, and so the main character has played the disability, while also there have been supporting actors who with actual disabilities who have been part of the film. But one thing on the sort of the commentary on Indian cinema is that star power works here. You
Yeah.
need, I mean, you can only sell with a star. So
Right.
that's why you have to bring in a star figure like Rani Mukherjee in Black or Hitchki for that matter.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And
Hitchki also. Tourette's
and
syndrome.
Yeah.
yeah, so you need to have a star power to sort of market this film.
And you know what? I feel like in songs it works differently
Yeah.
because people who are actually disabled can come up with music and come up with art, and that art is directly reflected rather than that their stories. So we can
Yeah.
actually
Exactly.
connect with what they're feeling. So
Yeah.
I remember Louis Capaldi. This,
Yeah.
that I used to know somebody you love. He developed Tourette's syndrome,
Huh.
and I remember he was performing in a concert where people saw that he's struggling to perform, and they just joined in, which created such a wholesome moment. And these kind of things just make me more connected to music and different forms of art.
Exactly. So the performing arts like dance and music, I have been a trained dancer for 15 years straight.
Yep.
But when I am on stage, no one knows I am disabled. They see what I'm performing.
Right.
So performing arts, sort of helps in presenting the art more than the person.
Right.
So Nihal, now we wanted to understand from you. So right now, I know that you are a freelancer. Like what you're doing with Ignite Visibility is freelancing work, and you have multiple clients, and it's very difficult to get a hold of you. But was this a conscious choice because मैं Sindhi, I'll have my own business, or the workplace just wasn't inclusive enough for you?
Very interesting question because I, like most people, wanted to go and have a stable job, have a yearly CTC reflecting, have monthly payments coming accurately to my bank account. But even and this was in 2022 when I graduated from my undergrad and set out for work, and I think I tried applying to 7 or 8 companies, and out of which 4 or 5 of them rejected me on the interview, saying that we do not have the bandwidth to handle this sort of a case. The 2 people who actually accepted me also uh, just gave me 1 week's time, and they were like, "No, we are done. We don't think this is working out, and we cannot further work in this partnership because they felt that they couldn't give me the bandwidth that I needed, or they couldn't make me as comfortable, and somewhere or the other they would have felt that it would affect their other employees as well, because if they had to cater to someone who needs certain things in his way, it could affect the other staff as well. So maybe it was a mix of both, where they felt it would affect their overall organization and also not be able to give me the bandwidth that I need. So that's when after a couple of jobs where I got rejected after starting work, I decided that freelance is something that I need to go ahead with, because how many months can I waste not earning? So I needed to start earning. So that's where I got into freelancing. I started off being as a dance instructor, which I did for a couple of months,
Ah,
and I
wow.
simultaneously started also taking up marketing projects. And that was sort of a period of 3 to 4 months where I sort of zeroed in ki nahi, marketing is where I see my future ahead. So that's what I built, and slowly now I'm at a stage where I'm handling a team as well.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And we actually see you documenting your entire experience on LinkedIn. Like, I chronically follow you on LinkedIn, and you've written quite honestly about everything: how it is like
Correct.
to be a person with disability manager and founder, what it is like to be a business owner in today's day and age, marketing
Correct.
tidbits. You have all these segments going on, and about basically being a person and finding your own space in this world. So
Correct.
honestly, like, I've never seen that kind of vulnerability and connect in a LinkedIn post. So I love
Thank you.
reading
Thank
your
you for that.
content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really feel with this, I would like people who are coming up and listen to our podcast. If you ever set up a company in the future, remember that it should be inclusive, and we need to include everyone and let them feel normal and let them feel at home.
Exactly.
That's how the world will progress. And I'm such a huge advocate for world peace.
And we are all just going gaga about these buzzwords called DEIB, that is diversity, inclusion, equity, and belonging.
Belonging.
We keep bringing
Correct.
that up, but do we actually see it happening practically in the workspace that we have? Like, are we sensitizing employees about it? Are we making our surroundings ergonomic in a manner that that's it's fit for everybody? And
Correct.
so you need to have the structures in place. You just don't have
Yeah.
to have it in verbal settings ki we've done it, but you need to show evidence.
Exactly. It needs to come, like, why we talk about these days. We talk about schools and colleges teaching students about financial literacy and a lot of worldly topics. But even this is something that needs to be brought into schools right from the young age. Like personally for me, I didn't have a lift in my school, and I don't think still my school has a lift. And because my school grew, they sort of felt the need to sort of have steps outside the building, and those steps were metal steps which had these gaps. So I was always worried that am I stepping the right step? Will my leg get stuck in those gaps, and will I trip over? So these are small things which schools and organizations need to take into consideration.
Definitely. And that brings me to the next question. Ki, when you see that these systems are not in place, what are some things you feel you have difficulty doing that others are doing very easily?
Um, there are many things like I just mentioned, the step
Yeah.
sort of a thing. I find it difficult climbing down in particular the steps, because it sort of
Yeah.
feels flat to me, and I need whoever's around me cautions me that there is a step approaching, or there is a big step approaching, or there is even a stone approaching in
Okay.
front of me. So whoever's around me cautions me that about that. Um, Besides that, yeah, there are many things, like as simple as reading the boards on a train station or on a bus, that because I have traveled a lot in a local train in Bombay, and even in college I have traveled in buses, so I couldn't read which bus is going where or which train is going where. After a point, I sort of cooked up and sort of memorized things, but yeah, as simple as reading certain things that people do which I cannot do, and playing instruments, like Bhavya is a fantastic guitarist. I attempted playing a guitar, and I'm terribly unsuccessful at it. So there are a lot of things which come up in your day in which I cope up. I have to cope up and make adjustments, which people do it very naturally.
Yeah.
Bhavya, since you are sitting with two people who are specially challenged, how have you interacted with other specially challenged people in your school days or college days, or I mean in general?
So my experiences have been, once I got to know, like I was 10 or 12 years, between my fifth to sixth grade, I was getting very aware and I was reading a lot on all of this stuff, because I used to listen to a lot of songs and artists who had some syndromes, and I got to know about what ADHD is, what neurodivergent means, and it made me aware ki okay, I need to ask more questions around these people by what makes them feel comfortable, what doesn't make them feel comfortable, and the whole perspective shift. The whole perspective shift that I also need to make other people who are in my circle and who are normal aware about, okay, this is happening and you should be inclusive and you should be taking care of this stuff. So that is personally my experience, but I have seen um, a lot of people just joking around about this stuff, and I feel bad.
Right.
Yeah, people till date haven't developed the sensitivity and the kind of emotional quotient how to behave and how to have like normal civic sense and normal humanity when it comes to many cases.
Yeah, it's not a gag.
Exactly.
Somebody's lived experience, which is differential to yours, is not a gag simply because it is not as mainstream as your experience has been. So you
Correct.
cannot use it for comedic effect.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was just seeing this reel the other day on Instagram where a person on a wheelchair is trying to climb a rather steep slope, and he sort of tossed and toppled around on himself backwards, and it sort of was presented in terms of a meme that people will laugh on it, which is wrong,
Very insensitive.
because
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it may seem funny at first, but what about that person?
Exactly.
Yeah. Matlab, I feel like this comes from a place of dehumanization. You have to first see people for who they are. Like one of the things that happens, I've worked in a lot of hospitals where I dealt with patients who had Alzheimer's. So one thing that the nurse made the kids of such parents do was like comb their hair, put cream on their hands, simply because these kids stopped seeing their parents as their parents and they started seeing them as Alzheimer's patients, full stop. So we had to rehumanize people in their eyes, and that is a process in itself.
Definitely.
Yeah, basically a lot of assumptions. Oh, he's specially challenged or she's specially challenged. This is what I need to respond to it. Maybe that person doesn't need that sort of a response.
Just
Yeah.
ask. Just ask.
Yeah.
Don't assume. Just ask.
Yeah, and I'm very sure that most of my friends who were facing some kind of disability and I did not know how to react, they answered it very well. So even if you ask the question to them, it's they will not take it awkwardly. Even
Yeah.
in fact, they will appreciate it that you came and asked before assuming anything about them.
Like even similar for me as well. As I mentioned, my right side, because I see from my right eye, naturally my right side of the entire body is more responsive to, in comparison to my left side of the body. So even when I'm listening to something, if I'm listening to a voice note, naturally my phone goes to my right ear, or naturally I use my right hand more than my left hand. So these are things which happen, and this is what we use as coping mechanisms to sort of navigate life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are all human beings. Some have physical shortcomings which are visible, some may not.
Exactly.
So it's just accepted how a person is. Like when Ishita came out, actually people when they listen to our podcast, they'll be like, "Why this was not such a big moment, and why wasn't it, highlighted and blown out of proportion?" But intentionally, we accepted how Ishita was, and because we want to normalize, these conversations.
And actually, that brings me to one thing. Like when, like Nihal and I were texting initially because we wanted to decide on when to release the episode and everything. And I was like, let's do it during the month of disability that I think we celebrate in the month of June, July, if I'm not wrong. It's somewhere around Pride and everything comes together. And Nihal, why don't you take over? What was your response to that?
So, firstly, before I give my response, so Pride Disability Month, yes, is observed in June, July, but the actual day of person with disability is sort of celebrated or set for 3rd of December every year. And yeah, I did not like the word celebrated, but that's how the world sees it, and hopefully we change that. But yeah, my response to Ishita was like, why should we have a set day to sort of talk about disability? If we are setting out to normalize disability and talks around disability, we should talk it in November and December and even in March, April. Why should we,
Definitely.
focus it when the world is focusing talks around disability on certain days? Why should we be like the other people and just fall to that stereotype? This is the set time, and talk on that. True inclusion and true normalcy comes when you're talking about it 365 days.
Exactly.
Definitely.
So now, on that very positive note, we bring an end to the episode. And thank you so much to our listeners. Thank you for being a part of this conversation till the very end. We really appreciate. And we really hope that you were able to take something away from today's podcast, be it somebody's lived experience or be it a bit of curiosity to understand people who are differential to you in your life. Try and find a way to connect with them. And we really hope that we were meeting every parameter of having an inclusive open discussion. And if we had any slip ups, so we apologize, and we would like for you to give us a ping that hey, we didn't like that part of you, and we will publicly address that, because we are trying to be as inclusive, as open, and as ethical in all our conversations on the podcast. And
Yes.
thank you for being here with us. I am Book,
I am Song,
and we
this
had Nihal over with us today, and this is
a song and a book.